All right. Give me a quick second to check if this stream is working okay. Should open up the actual docs of this. So you can all jump to this URL to kind of follow along. I just need a second. Haven't streamed in a while here to make sure that everything's working correctly. Just stuff like the video thumbnail and all that. Man, this is going to be awesome. I'm so excited about some of the stuff I've built over the past few months. I'm excited to share it with everyone. It's going to be awesome. I'm just clicking on things over here to check it's all working. There we go. Just choking on my tea here. All right. Awesome. Okay, looks like it's working fine. So I'm going to go ahead and dive right in. So basically, I've been building this thing called VueModel, and VueModel is kind of like an API on top of Vue for working with a backend. So the idea is kind of like how you've got GraphQL. Actually, not really like GraphQL because different GraphQL APIs are different. But with VueModel, essentially, you create an implementation for the backend, and the way you use the interaction with your API is always the same. So it'll work with a GraphQL backend. It'll work with, it's specifically designed to work with Laravel Orion, Strapi, and Dataverse. So I designed it so that it would work with all of those backends because they're ones that I've worked with before. But another one I'm going to try and get it working with is Elide. So if you're using Java and you want to have a really seamless experience with working with the backend, then you can install something like Elide and you'll be able to get that working with VueModel once I've built it out. And the idea is one of the things we'll have is features that allow you to say what is and isn't available in the backend. So for example, there's some pretty advanced querying stuff you can do. So if I jump into composables, use indexer, one of the things we've got is like deeply nested with, or here we go, and or operators is probably a better one. So one of the things we can do is we can say, for example, it contains that in the body, and then I can have a bit of an or block in here. So the problem is that's not going to work with all backends. And so we're going to be building this in such a way that if you want to implement your backend, but your backend doesn't support this kind of functionality, you can easily disable that. So one of my visions actually for this is to be able to have a consistent API across everybody on my team, no matter what the backend is. And one of those backends could be something like a hardware device using Bluetooth. So it doesn't even have to be over a network request. You could have, for example, a connection to a Bluetooth device, and you can do creating, indexing, finding, updating, deleting, etc. Using a Bluetooth device with different kind of models that are on, for example, an ESP32. So that's kind of my vision here. And in this video, I want to go ahead and try and actually build something with this concept. So first thing I'm going to do, of course, is use the modular quasar template because it's going to make it really easy to get up and running. And I'm going to use dgit for that, which makes it really easy to clone something without including the .git file, so I don't accidentally, overwrite the template. And I've already got here Quasar Army modular quasar template. And let's give the destination directory a name of view-blog. We're going to build a really basic blog app. Use cache version. No, let's go ahead and fetch the latest modular quasar template. There we go. So now I can jump into view-blog, open that in VS Code, and we should be all set to get started. I might zoom in a little bit so everybody can see better. There we go. All right, and we're ready to get started. So the first thing I'm going to need is a boot file. So let's go ahead and say p, that's short for p-npm. I've set that as an alias. So p install to begin with. And then I want to create a boot file. So I think I can just go p quasar new boot and then give it a name from there. Or maybe I just have to use the global quasar. Have I got that? Yep. Quasar new boot. And we'll call this view-model. And I'm going to go ahead and get on top of things by jumping into my quasar.config And under the boot, say view-model here. So that's being used. And if we go to source boot, there's VueModel. Now, the next thing I'll do is say pdev just to get this server up and running and check that it's working. Control click that. Give it a second to run for the first time. And there we go. It is working. And I'll close that out. I like to try and cull my tabs as quickly as I can. And we should be ready to get started now installing it. So if I jump into getting started, we can see we got a command here that helps us install everything. And I'll quickly run over this. So first we need Pina. We've actually already got Pina with a Quasar template. Pina ORM, so that's a really cool tool for basically creating a store that works with models. It's incredible. It allows you to set up relationships, kind of like you do in Laravel or some other backends. But it's kind of like being able to query your models on the front end. It's super cool. This is VueModel Core, which basically allows us to use all of these beautiful composables on the left here. And then this is an implementation of VueModel Core. So VueModel is going to allow you to have different implementations. It could be Dataverse, it could be Strapi, it could be Laravel, or in this case, we're actually using local storage. And the cool thing about this is you can prototype an entire backend, an entire app where the backend is local storage. So this supports all the cool shit like being able to filter, being able to do your order buys, and all the stuff that you would expect with a rich backend. But instead of using a real backend, it uses local storage. And then later on, you can add another implementation for something like Laravel and literally just swap it out, which is really, really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And I'm just going to get rid of the Pina part because we do already have Pina. Give that a second to install. And then when that's done, we've got the setup, and I've got a section here especially for Quasar because most people that are watching my videos are going to be using Quasar. So we'll go ahead and copy that. That's our boot file ready to go. And we can just paste it in there. And how's this going? Oh, no matching version for Pina ORM Core. Okay, that's unusual. I might have, I honestly don't know why that would happen. Let's try it with the Pina part again. That's why I want to do these videos to try and catch myself on things that are going wrong. Now, why would that be? VueModel Core 0.0. When trying to install... Okay, so we tried to install the local storage plugin. Okay, so it looks like I need to update the latest version in the Pina local storage plugin. I'll quickly go ahead and do that. I might have to change something there with how it discovers the version that it needs to use. So, right, this should be easy to do. I've got templating stuff. So I believe it's I'll just come in this way. Pina local storage package.json. And where it says it wants core here. Oh, I've got that set to workspace. I don't think that's what we want because that means that's going to end up in a package.json. So if I go to add view model here, yeah, so the problem is that's going to be sitting, that's going to be set to workspace in here as well. Yeah, which obviously doesn't make sense. And that kind of stuck around from when I was doing development. So we need to change that from workspace to 0, anything greater than 0.0. I believe 10 is the latest. So let's go to the package.json for core. And yeah, 10 is the latest. So we'll just start from there. And check workspace isn't being used there. No, it's not. Am I in the right one? No, I'm in node modules. Ooh, how did I end up there? So let's go to the package.json for... Yeah, how did I end up in the local modules version? In the node modules directory. All right, that one seems to be fine. Let's do this again, 0.0.8. Save that. Anything greater than that, and it was 10. And the other thing I'll do is go to view model core. So let's go core/package.json. and make sure that's not relying on anything in the workspace. And it looks like it's not. So now we go to pin your local storage. I'll have to do a release on that. Packages, pin your local storage, and then I should be able to say here p release. Again, p is short for pnpn because that's how I alias that. Give that a second. That's going to build it. Yes, the next version is 0.14. And that's going to do a whole bunch of cool stuff like tagging it and doing the release for me. Hopefully I can just close out of that now. And if we come back here and we jump into our package.json and we look at our Pina ORM local, oh, it might not have installed. Yeah, probably didn't. So let's see if we can just add Pina local storage and see if it works this time. It might take a second to get that latest version published to NPM. I know that can take a couple of seconds for NPM's caches to update. Looks like it's doing something. Nice, okay, it's working now. All right, so we got past that. Now if I restart Vola here, we should lose these red squigglers. Oh my God, just chugging. It's like something might be going wrong here. So I'm just gonna close that. Yeah, right, let's just close that. What's going on? Something's taking up all my CPU. Oh, okay, it's OBS Studio, which is kind of concerning. There might be some sort of a bug in OBS. Ah, bugger. The fan's quieting down, so hopefully that's kind of resolved itself now. All right, let's cd into this again. View blog, I think is what we called it. I hope so. So I can hover over this now. Hopefully it doesn't come up red. No, okay, so it looks like that's all working. And I need to get rid of that from the example. So let me just set a reminder in my Obsidian doc, which is going to be fix quasar example, and I'll just tell it the line that I need to remove. Remove this line. Paste that in there. All right. Bit of a slow start, but let's go ahead and keep cracking along. Next, I want to check that I don't have any errors. So we'll have to start the server again. pdev, whoops, caps lock is on. Give that a refresh and see if we get any errors in the console. No. Okay, nice. And another thing I like to do is just quickly test this, see that this is being run. And it is. Cool. All right, so let's have a look at what's happening here really quickly. Basically, we set up the implementation for Pina local storage, which just think of this as a local storage backend. So your backend is local storage. I need to change the name of this because it's technically not local storage anymore. We're actually using indexed DB because that allows you to async await it. You actually can't do proper async await with local storage because it'll say that it's done, but then sometimes it can take a few milliseconds to actually get inserted into the store, and that can cause like some serious problems when you need to know that something is, when something's going to be inserted into local storage. Nightmare. I hate local storage for that reason. So the next thing we do is we create VueModel. And we get to say what our default driver is, because you can have multiple drivers. So if you have more than one backend, you might have, for example, 2 Dataverse backends, or maybe you're using your own backend, but that can kind of work with a Dataverse backend. If you're using Microsoft, you could have like a Laravel backend and that, or maybe you're using local storage because you're adding new features in. And what you can actually do is set it up so that Pina ORM, you got a version of your backend, which is local storage, as you're adding on a new feature, like a prototype for a new feature. And then when that feature is actually working, then you can actually implement it in the back end. And you can easily do that by just having 2 drivers. One that is your local one, or your index DB, whatever you want to call that. And then another one, which is your live database version. So it's really, really cool because you can prototype without a database and easily then just swap out the implementation for where you're actually using it. Really, really cool. I've always wanted to have something like this. And one of the other cool things about this is I'll be able to do tutorial videos in the future where we use VueModel. And if you're somebody who's using Firebase on the backend, like a different backend, you can still follow the entire tutorial, but with your choice of backend, which I think is super, super cool. We can build the whole thing with like this Pinia VueModel implementation, and then everybody can just go off and use their own backend, and we can still use the same tutorial series. It's going to be awesome. All right, so that's all set up and ready to go. Now let's go ahead and start doing something. I might just jump into my index page here. And the first thing I want to do is build a module. So this will be familiar to some of you, but if you've never seen some of my stuff before, this is going to be a mystery, so just follow along. So we'll say hygiene module new, and we'll give it a name. And since it's going to be a place where you can do, this is going to be like I said blog. What I actually meant was, what do you call it? A forum type site. No, it doesn't matter. So let's call this a post. That goes ahead and generates a post for us. So I just said hygiene module new, and then call this a post. Now we get this post directory with a post in it. And we're also going to want to have a page for that. So I'm going to jump into my pages directory. I always put them in their own folder. So we'll say, we probably want topics as well, actually. Yeah, so let's go ahead and start with a topic. So we'll say hygiene module new, and we'll have topics as well. I'm just trying to think of what you usually have in a forum site. So you got topics, you got posts on those topics, and I do want to keep it simple. We're going to need users as well. So hygiene module new, and we'll create user there. And what else can we have? We got users, topics, posts on those topics. That actually might be it. Fingers crossed. But for now, let's just go ahead and set up some of these relationships now. So we got post, topic, user. I'm going to have to restart Vola. You often need to do that, especially when you're generating files. And a user is going to have, let's just say, a username. And that'll do for now, I think. Yeah, we'll just stick to a username. I want to keep this super simple. A topic has got a name for the name of that topic. And let's go ahead and give that a color, because why not? And a post has got a title, a body, and it's also going to have, I don't even think we need a title, actually. Let's just go with a body. So what would you call it when you got like a forum section? I don't need to get this perfect for now, but like you'd have like a post. Let's see what Laravel calls it. Laracast calls it. It's gone on my other screen. Laracast. Forum. Discussion. Yeah, okay, let's just go with that. Discussion, and then maybe posts in that discussion. That'll do. So let's go ahead and say hygiene module new discussion. Cool. All right, so now we'll say discussion here to get that open. And a post belongs to a discussion, and a discussion belongs to a topic. We'll restart Vola again. And go ahead and say a discussion belongs to a topic. So we'll say belongs to, and that's coming out of Pinia ORM decorators. Our topic, so we'll get that imported, and we'll call this topic. It's either null or the topic. This is the fun part. I love mapping stuff out. And the way that it finds that topic is via its topic ID. So we can say here topic underscore ID. And this will also have a title. Topic ID is null or a string, and the title is null or a string. Cool. So that's set up. Let's do the inverse of that relationship by coming in here, and a topic has many. What's it got? Many of discussions. So discussion, get that imported. Discussions, and this is going to be equal to an array of discussion. All right, so let's keep going here. Now, post belongs to a topic, so let's grab this, whack that in there, get that imported, and post belongs to a topic. Discussion, oh no, not a topic, sorry, it actually belongs to a discussion. So let's go Control D, change that to discussion, and we'll change any occurrence of discussion, a topic to discussion ID. So now this is going to need a discussion ID, and that's null, or it's going to be a string. By the way, I'm actually building a tool for this step as well, where you'll easily be able to build out all of these relationships in a really nice UI. So it's even easier to start doing this step. All right, so that's going to be null or a string. That can also be a string. Let's just get a couple of these done. Null or a string. Lots of strings here. That actually cannot be null. You know what? It actually doesn't matter. Cool. All right, so I think that's a good start. Now, a user has got many posts, and a post belongs to a user. So let's grab this has many here. A user has many post. Let's go ahead and get that imported. Has many, and this will be via the post ID, and that'll be posts. And then a post belongs to a user. So copy paste that down. User. Oh, I spelled this wrong, haven't I? Discussion ID. All right, so we'll make this a user as well. And this a user as well. That's already been imported. But in this case, now it's user underscore ID. So it belongs to a user via the user ID. So now we can go ahead and copy paste that down and put a user ID in there. Cool. Okay, so I like to think from the top down here. So we've got topics, and then that topic has got discussions. There they are there. The discussion, that should belong to a user as well. So let's come in here and say belongs to a user. There we go. So now that we go from the top down again, topic, we want the inverse of this as well. So a user has many discussions. All right, let's get that one done. D-I-S-C-U, yep, there it is. Discussion, get that imported. Discussions, and that will be a discussion ID. I'm just going to steal that. There we go. So I think we're getting pretty close here. Now a discussion should have many posts. That's definitely true. So let's come down here and say has many. Make sure that's on post. There we go. Change those to posts. All right, so topic, discussion has many posts. And the post belongs to a discussion and it belongs to a user. I think that'll do. We might be able to add more relationships later on if we need them. Now, the cool thing about this is everything I've done here is now going to set up a database for us whenever we use these models. So we don't need to create a backend. All we had to do is define our models, and this is actually going to be used to insert all that stuff into the store. But you'll see what that looks like in a second. Let me just close all of these down. Now, just trying to think in my head. Let's just make it so that in the index page, let's just make the index page a list of discussions. We'll start super simple here. All right, so let's say q-list, q-item, q-item section, and this is going to be all of our discussions. And this is the fun part. This is where we get to use VueModel. So we can say const discussions indexer, so the thing that indexes all of the discussions, is equal to use indexer. And I think the first time you use something from a library, you do have to import it manually, and then Voila kind of picks it up from there. So at VueModel /core. Okay, use indexer, and then we just tell it, hey, I want you to use the discussion for that. Discussion. Now, why would that not be working? Or type of model, but it is type of model. Unless the version of Pina ORM doesn't match. So maybe I've done something wrong with my peer dependencies when I built this. Type of model. Oh, bugger. That's going to be really annoying. Let's just see if the types pull through anyway. So I'm going to come in here and add some options. One of them is to add filters. Yeah, so I'm only getting and or. Man, that's going to be super frustrating if that doesn't work. So we need to make sure they're... Quickly restart that. I bet you it's because we're using different versions of Pina. So somehow we ended up with different Pina versions. Package.json. So the version of Pina here is 2.1.6, whereas VueModel, what does it want? VueModel core package.json 2.1.6 or higher. We are using 2.1.6 there, so why would that be using the wrong version of model? Oh no, it's Pina ORM that we need to check the version is right. So this uses Pina ORM 1.7.2. Using my package.json 1.7.0. So if we change that to a 2, I think that'll fix our problem. All right, so that's another thing that I need to think about. Make sure I support lower versions of Pina ORM. All right, I think when that's installed, this will actually work now. Let's restart Vola. Control space there. And there we go. It's all pulling through now. Cool. All right, so we're hitting a couple of roadblocks. Let's make sure that I fix that up by getting Obsidian over here. And we need to, let's just format that correctly. Allow lower versions of packages, and should we be using peer deps more? So I think there's a few situations where I need to make sure they're peer dependencies instead. Okay. Nice. So now we can get all of our discussions. The other thing I'll do is I'll say immediate true. So that gets called straight away. And then inside a list, we can say v-for discussion in discussions indexer dot records dot value. So this is really, really cool. This API is so ridiculously easy to use. And then we can say here for the kids discussion dot ID. We'll go ahead and save that. And now for Q item section, we can just whack in that discussion. Discussion dot, I think it's name. Nope, but that's one of the cool things about this. We now get TypeScript auto completion here. So basically, it's smart enough to look at the discussion. Where is it? There we go. And look at the fields that we've got on discussion and the relationships. And it automatically just shows you them there. Really, really cool. All right, so let's refresh the page. We get nothing to begin with because we don't have any discussions. And maybe I should just make this bordered just to see if it's working. I might have to put something in there. Yeah, okay, so that is working. The next thing we can do is make it so that you can create a discussion. So to do that, we're going to say hyphen component new. And let's call this is going to be for a module, for our discussion module, and it'll be create discussion dialogue. We're going to also make another one for a discussion, which will be discussion form. Okay, so let's go to our discussion form. Actually, no, let's go from the top down so we can constantly see things as we build it. I'm going to quickly restart Vola so that I can import those modules. Discussion, dialogue, create discussion dialogue. There we go. Create discussion dialogue. And the first time I import this, I always have to set that to camel case. It's probably something I can do to make it so that I don't have to do this. Sorry, Pascal case. And then we can just do a VueModel on there. And we'll come up here and we'll say const show create dialogue is equal to a ref. That by default is false. Now this is automatically getting imported. That's part of the modular quasar template. You don't have to import refs or computers or a lot of basic Vue stuff, which is kind of cool. All right, so there we go. By default, when we create a new component, it just gives you text of that component. So it's really easy to see it when you first create it and start working with it. All right, create discussion dialogue. Let's control click into there. And this is going to be a q-dialogue. And I wonder if modular quasar, or sorry, augment quasar, which is one of the projects I'm currently building, has a base dialogue. I don't actually know. I'm going to add it there for fun and let's see if it does. Augment-quasar. So augment quasar is basically a bunch of components on top of quasar, which essentially adds some opinions and even more abstractions over what quasar already has. And it's cool because things like dialogues with close buttons, which are really common patterns that you do, are already included in augment quasar, and it's fully typed. So let's import, but it is a work in progress. So there's your word of warning from augment quasar. What have we got here? So one related to a dialogue. Oh yeah, we got an A dialogue. Okay, so let's come in here and say A-dialogue. And I think I can come in here and give it a title. Yeah, there we go. So now we can say create discussion. And this code is going to be so simple. Just refresh that. So everything still seems to be working. But now let's just have a button for creating that. Man, I ate some nuts earlier and it's gotten lodged into my throat. Ugh. So what I might do is just have like a Q toolbar. Let's just do that for now. Q space in that toolbar. Or how about we add a toolbar title? Q toolbar title. And the title can be discussions. This shouldn't be discussions, actually. I've gotten it wrong. This should be topics. So I'm going to double click Control Shift L is my hotkey for selecting all occurrences. And now I can change that to topic and Control Shift L, topics indexer, Control Shift L, topic. Now, is it topic.title? No, topic.name. So save that, refresh the page. Okay, but now I want to create topic dialogue. So let's quickly do that. Hygiene module, not a new module. This should be hygiene component new. And that's going to be for a topic. And we'll call this create topic dialogue. And while I'm at it, I'll quickly create the form as well. Create topic form. Great. Now we come back in here, refresh the page. Create topic. Yeah, create topic dialog. And I can control click that. Okay, sometimes I think you just need to restart the server. When I'm constantly creating files and doing shiz like that, this tends to happen. All right, yeah, it was simple as that. All right, so let's go back to that other dialog that I created, create discussion dialog, steal that code, and then we'll go into create topic dialog and just paste it directly in there. Whoops, topic. Okay, sweet, so now we can push on. We should have a toolbar here that says topics. Why isn't that showing up? Q toolbar. Oh, this is inside of the item. I went one level too deep. So let's do it in there. There we go, topics. And how about we just say class is equal to background primary, text white. And then we want to have a button as well, where you can then go ahead and create that. And I'm going to make this round and I'm going to make it flat. And we'll make it a plus button. Icon is equal to MDI plus. There we go. So we got that little plus button showing up. And yeah, it's not very schmancy right now, but that'll do. So let's make it so that when you click on this, we set that show create dialog equal to true. Save it. And there we go. We've got that dialog showing up. And Augment Quasar has already filled in some of the styling for us where we get this nice close button. Okay, so the rest should be a little bit easier. We go to create topic dialog. And then inside of there, we'll have topic form. Did I call it topic form or create topic form? Bugger, create topic form. That's wrong. Create topic form. Control-Alt-M to show that in my file browser. And I'm going to go ahead and delete that because I wanted to use the same form for create and update. So we'll go ahead and say hydrogen component new, module, topic, and we'll call this topic form. Okay, restart Volar. Topic form. Yep. There we go. Control click into that. And it all seems to be working pretty well. Yep. So now we've got different components for all of this, so it's nice and separated. A plus button shows us the create topic dialog, and inside of create topic dialog, we've got create topic form or topic form. So the next thing I do for this is a pattern that I follow a lot to basically try and ensure that my code is separate and really easy to edit in the future. It takes a little bit of extra effort, but it's really not that much extra effort separating the dialog from the form. Wait, hydrogen now, what is this? Hydrogen is what I use to generate files. So this is the modular Quasar template gives you this underscore templates directory, and hydrogen automatically looks in that directory. So you can install hydrogen globally. I'll quickly just show you what the docs look like for that. Here we go, hydrogen.io. It's just a really cool way to generate files. So what I did was it automatically searches for the underscore templates directory, and inside of there, if you want to create a new module, a page, a view, a component, and do it the way I want it to be done, so everybody on my team builds things the same way, I've essentially got the code and the prompts for all of that. So now, I'll quickly just show you here. If I say hydrogen component new, it goes component new and then uses that directory to find the command. If I say hydrogen module new, it goes hydrogen module new and then uses this directory to find the command. So I've got a few of them like hydrogen page new for creating a new page, and it also does this thing, stuff like enforces the casing. So it has to have Pascal case and it has to have the word page in it. And that's the same with my views for my modules. I've got very strict naming conventions and it's forced upon people because they're using hydrogen. So you have to use hydrogen to build stuff in my app. And one of the cool things about this is by creating these layers of enforcement, later on, I can then create another layer on top of this that basically says, that is something like an Electron app. so that you can now start creating things with an Electron app. And I've actually done this before, but it's, very kind of sticky tapey, work in progress, and tailored to specific projects. But later on, I want to create a tool that's available to everyone so that you can build things the way that I build things. And this is kind of the sort of thing I'm working on towards the future. I'm working on projects where I build things my way. Yeah, this is actually already shared. So if you want the modular quasar template, can I paste it links into the chat? Yeah, let me know if that works. I just pasted that into the chat. It's included inside the modular quasar template. So if you download that, this _templates directory has got everything that I've already done, including like all the colors and stuff like that. But yeah, everything I do here is very, very opinionated, because the idea is I'm going to show people how I build code and create a lot of enforcements on how the code is structured, so people can learn to do things in a way that scales really well. And by scale, I'm talking about scaling code across teams, so everybody understands each other. And then if people like the way I do things, then later on they can come work with me on my team. Or if they don't like the way I do things, at least they learned a very opinionated way of building code, and they can then know what they don't like about those opinions and then create some of their own opinions. So that's kind of the idea. Cool, thank you. That's good to know I can send links in the chat. Okay, so let's push on here. Let's go ahead and start building the form now. So we'll jump. Oh, before I build the form, actually, I want to show you the next part, which is how I end up modeling things. So I do a little bit of prop drilling when I code. I highly disagree. I shouldn't say highly, but I do disagree with people with prop drilling. I think prop drilling is totally fine if it's 2 or 3 layers deep. If you get beyond that, you might want to start using provide and inject. But honestly, I would probably go even up to 4 or 5 layers, depending on the project. I am actually a bit of a fan of prop drilling because it often makes you rethink things. Like, is there a way that I can build this where I don't have to drill? And honestly, I actually never end up going more than 3 layers deep when I do prop drilling. So I think if you're doing things right, usually prop drilling isn't a problem in your code. When you're doing lots of prop drilling, usually the prop drilling isn't the problem. It's usually an artifact of something else. So without further ado, let me just show you how I now make sure that the form is in sync with the page and then the form at the bottom of the dialog. All right. So let's say const topic creator is equal to use creator. I seem to always have to import this the first time. There we go, use creator. What do I want to create? A topic. So I just send through the module there. Instead of inject or prop drilling, I use state. Yeah, I get it. I actually don't. For various reasons, which I won't go into right now, because you'd kind of have to understand the whole LSD standard. And I think using state is a great way to do it. Not that it matters what I think, just, do what works for you. So now if I go to topic creator, this composable actually gives us a form for free. So if I go to the create dialog, VueModel form is equal to topic creator dot form dot value. So now I can model that form, and let's go ahead and pick up that form. By the way, I'm going to show you something that uses, what's it called? Vue macros, but you can now use, if you enable the experimental flag, define model, which is possibly going to be included in Vue's inbuilt macros in the future. So if you were to say, for example, const form is equal to define model, that's currently not built into Vue by default, but you can enable an experiment flag that allows you to do that and easily basically keep in sync a variable inside of a component with the variable above it. Okay, anyway, let's go ahead and say const form is equal to define models, and then I'll come down here, and this is one of the cool parts. I can now say that the form here is of type, and we can say form and get that imported. I don't know why I have to do this the first time every time. At VueModel slash, whoops, core. So there we go. And I can actually pass through topic there. And that's automatically going to take this topic model and turn it into a form. Basically, grab all of these types and kind of, I call it declassifying. It changes it from a class into just like a normal type. So now, if I come in here and say form.value dot, notice that it automatically picks up the types for the topic. Really, really effing cool. I was about to swear. Australians swear a lot. And I'm trying not to do it when I stream, just in case I get like that E symbol, or like they start, what is it when they stop showing your stuff, like silent banning you? Yes, I don't want that to happen. Okay, anyway, I can VueModel the form now. So this is what I mean by the drilling. I do actually drill one layer deep here. Now I can control click onto the form. Let me just copy that first. Get rid of all this. Should be able to control click that. No, it's not working. Can I do it there? Yeah, that worked. All right, so then we pick up the form here. And at this point, I just call it model value. So I can use the default VueModel for that. Use model, is it similar to view query? I am using, no. No, it's really not. You'll probably find out a little bit more as I kind of keep building things, but no, it's quite different to view query. It does much more advanced querying than view query does. If we're thinking of the same thing, let me just look at view query. Is this what I think it is? Yeah, no, they're pretty different. VueModel is more like an alternative to GraphQL that is more tightly coupled to Vue, that is opinionated and allows you to swap out the backend. That's kind of my best way of explaining it. Quickly, at least. All right, so let's go ahead and import form here. Again, it's making me do this manually. Gah. From at VueModel slash core. It's probably something I can do to fix that. So I'll look into that later on. And we'll call that model value. And now we can come in here and look at this. We get typing. This is the cool part. Q-import VueModel. And this can be, what's the first thing we get? It's like a, we got the name and the color. So now we can just say model value dot name. Whoa, press the wrong button. And then I'm just going to make this pretty by making it filled. And that'll do for now. Say class is equal to Q dash gutter dash Y medium. Add a bit of a gutter there. And we won't actually need the button. I never include the button in the form. I always put that on the dialog because it means I can do different things with the styling. And I don't think the form should actually have the button inside of it. All right, so we got the name, we got the color here. Now I can just say use a Q color component. I don't want to do too much styling here. Let's keep it simple. And let's add the label, which is equal to name. We might actually switch into kind of like developing mode. Why can't I grab that? It's like it's still in full screen mode or something. All right, that worked. And let's do something like that. Yeah, it just means I don't have a lot of real estate now. Okay. So there we go. That looks good to me. Now, quick little tip here. I'm not going to add the padding on the form because that means my form is now not flexible. It means that my form styling is now coupled to the form. And I want to have as little styling coupled to the form as possible, especially things like margins and padding. So what I like to do is go to the dialog and then add the padding here. Or in this case, you could even just wrap that in a cue card section because I'm pretty sure that the dialog is actually using a card within it. Yeah, there we go. So we add the padding there like that. And then at this level, we have the create button. So the button is equal, has got a @click, and that's going to emit create. Oh, and I discovered recently define model. I think you can go const emit create is equal to define emit. Yeah, here we go. This is so freaking cool. I've never actually used this before, so I'm going to have a crack at it. And that's going to emit create. And I think I need to add that to my ESLint under like globals or something. Where is it? Yeah, here we go. I put define model in here, and I kind of need the same thing for define emits and define emit. I've always wanted to try this. Yeah, here we go. And I think that means I can say emit create. How good is that? I think that reads so much nicer. So now this is automatically going to do the emit for us and do like really nice typing as well. So now we can just say emit create. That is so nice. Like these macros are just cleaning the crap out of everything. I love it. Oh no, define emits cannot accept non-type arguments. Okay, so I need to learn how to use this. Let me just quickly look up view macros. Let's go full screen on that. Blah, blah, blah. Define emit. There it is. And how do I use this? Oh my God, you can infer it from variable name, but I don't think I would want to infer it from the name. Okay, anyway, this is the TypeScript version. Why wouldn't that work? That actually doesn't make sense to me. Unless they've changed it and I'm using an older version. Define emits cannot accept non-type arguments when using. Oh. Okay, so when you're using it with define models, you need to type it, I think is what they're saying. And then how do you type it? Yeah, because that is only typing the thing, the payload, I'm pretty sure. So do I have to do that? But then why would that be wrong now? All right, I might just not use this for now. Which is a real bummer. I really like to use it. Define. So what is T here? Emit name parameter can be up from variable name. Okay, if I say emit create there, what does it infer as the variable name? I think I can figure this out by going to the index page. Sorry, I got on a little detour here. I'm kind of curious about this. Might just have to restart Vola again. And let's see what we get for at there. Yeah, okay. That's all right. I don't want to keep you guys waiting, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this normally. Emit is equal to define emit and I can probably come back in here now, jump into the globals part and just yank those two out. And I think we might have the new Vue version of emit, which is actually quite nice as well. So you should be able to say create, I think, and pass an empty array there. Yeah, there we go. Which is much nicer than the way we used to have to type this. Okay, so let's emit create when that button is clicked. And I can go back into sort of development mode. So we'll say label is equal to create, color is equal to primary. And actually, I think I've got an augment quasar create dialog. A create dialog. Yeah, let's just go all caps there. And I think that automatically creates the create button for you. What does that do? Yeah, and that automatically gives me a create button. Oh, how nice is that? So I don't need that anymore. Oh, see, Augment Quasar is going to be awesome. Look at it. Look at this. Like, the code is just so freaking simple. Ah! This is what happens when you start adding opinions in. Your code gets so simple. It becomes so easy to prototype. Now, when I click on that, oh, okay, so that doesn't close it when I click on it. Oh, that's okay. I can basically close that manually from the index page. So essentially what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to push everything up the chain so that it's on the index page, which means that you have so much more control over your application. You don't want to be making requests and you don't want to be manipulating models in your state or anything like that far down in your component tree. You want that to be high in your component tree. It gives you way more power over your app. Takes a little bit of extra effort, but it means that in the future, it's so much easier to manage your application. Okay, so topic creator, let's just come in here and we'll say on create, or on success even, show create dialog.value is equal to false. So when I successfully create, set that equal to false, and in order to perform the create, all we have to do is jump onto this dialog, and that should have a create on it. I think it actually does. It might just not be showing up here. Let's just see what that does. Blah, 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 that color, create. How cool is that? So just, oh my goodness, check out this code, right? We come up here and the topic creator gives us a form for free that we can work with. So we model the form here. We just literally just model it directly on the topic creator. .form.value. Then when we're ready to create, we don't have to pass a form in or anything like that. We just call create. And since the topic creator has the form on it, it already has everything it needs to know how to create it. And if you want, you can actually send more variables in like this. And when you do that and you send them in as the first parameter, it basically just merges it into the form here. So often when you create something, you need a little bit of data when you're at that moment. So for example, when you say @create, you might get some sort of an ID that you need to include into the form. So then you can say create and say, by the way, I also want some ID to equal some ID. Really, really helpful. So there we go. Code is looking beautiful. Usually I would have my own component for the list as well, but I'm not going to do that for now. And now we can come in here and have like a Q- avatar. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Whoops. Avatar. And we'll say Q item section. And I think you can come in here and say avatar. Yeah, that's one of the options. And I should be able to put an icon in here. And this is just going to be for the color. Q icon. And the name is equal to MDI circle. I don't think you even need that within an avatar, actually. I think you can just say like, yeah, I think I can just go class is equal to background primary. Let's see what that does. Yeah, and now that we've chosen a color, we should be able to say style is equal to, and we'll give that a background. Oh, I should probably do background color, even though you don't actually have to. Put that in a template string, and we'll pass through topic.color. And there we go. The topic color comes up as well. Huzzah! Awesome. All right, we got our topic list. It's not a lot. So stuff on view. Let's make it like a greeny color. Okay, why didn't that show up? That looks like a bug. I should not have had to refresh the page there. Yeah, interesting. So topics index.records.value, that might be, yeah, might be filtering things to the IDs, which you shouldn't be doing. dot records dot value. So let's just see what happens if I say const topics repo is equal to use repo, and we pass through the topic there. And then we say here topics repo.or. So I'm just playing around to see where this bug is. Yeah, so that works. In other words, I think what's going on, let's just get rid of the topics repo. Bugger. I think what's going on is records.value is being filtered based on the IDs that it originally gets. So let's do a little bit of a detour here. Actually, this could be fun. So let's jump into the VueModel project. I'm just going to open the window because it is really hot in Australia right now. I love it though. I'm sitting here without a shirt on, writing code. It's like the dream for me. I love the heat. So let's open VueModel. And use index implementation. Yeah, here we go. So the problem is that it seems to be using the IDs. So when it gets the records, it calls this make query. All right. Part of that is saying if we have response IDs.length. So if this response ID, we're adding the where ID onto that. So let's see where response IDs. Okay, so that uses the response to get its IDs. I don't want that functionality though. Or do I? You do want that functionality when you have pagination. Because you want, when you're paginating, you want the records in your store to only be, or the records that are being returned to only be the records in that pagination. Shit. Oh, so how do you get around this? Oh, man. Okay, I'm going to think about this later. So let's write that problem in my Obsidian doc. When paginating, records.value, when paginating with index, records.value should, okay, so we'll say when not paginating with index, or we'll call this use index, records.value should not filter by IDs. Okay. I'm just going to have to fix that at a later time. For now, we'll just say use repo.or. Okay, let's make it so that these are clickable. And we'll have a page, which is going to be our post page, and that'll show all posts for that topic. Or how about we just have it on this page, and maybe we just like whack that on the side here. It's going to look really ugly, but I don't really care for now because we're just sort of messing around. Jump out of VueModel, and we'll jump into our, oh, we're already on our index page. Huh. And one thing I like to do is on my page, you can say :style function here. This is really, really cool. And say info. And now you can return and say that the height, so the height of this page is equal to, and I think we got info dot, or maybe that is the height. So it might not be info. Okay, I'm gonna have to look this up. Can't remember what it is. So we'll say Q page. And there it is. Q page API gives you style function, and you get offset and you get height as the parameters. Man, I love Quasar. So I can now say, give me the offset and give me the height. And I think the way you do this is say calculate, and it's going to have to be a string, which is going to be height pixels minus the offset. I think that's it. That's all right. We can just play around with this if it's not right. Right, so check this out. If we now have lots of content in here, so I'll copy paste this down just to mimic lots of content. Yep. Yeah, essentially what I want to do is make it so that, let's just undo a few of those. That was a bad way to do this. What was I thinking? What if you said height minus offset? I should have just checked the quasar docs on this. Maybe max height as well. Or what if we also said min height? I think max height might already be set behind the scenes, so you have to reset it. What I'm trying to do is make it so that you can scroll here whilst having the stuff on the left stuck. So can I say class is equal to full height? I'm just going to play around a little bit here. Okay, there we go. If I change that to, I don't know, like offset plus 20, would that change things? It did. So I think we just want the height. It might automatically have the offset in the height. Okay, I think it does. So we get rid of the padding there. All right, so you do want to subtract the offset. And that's the perfect height now. And because we've done that, instead of making this a column, I can make that a row. Get rid of the flex center part. So that now shows on the right side, and everything else will take up this area, I think. So we can say this is like the post area. Let's see if that works. Yeah, and let's just go background primary. And just try and get the styling right here. Put a full width on that. All right. No, not full width. We actually want to say col here. So by saying col, we're basically saying take up all of the rest of the space. And there we go. We've now got an area for our posts. And if I lorem ipsum the crap out of that, make that a H1, I just want to make sure the scrolling works correctly. And it does not. So let's go ahead and fix that. And I think I can make this a q-scroll-area. And there we go. How cool is that? It's so easy to do these designs with Quasar. This is a really, 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 really cool trick. Basically hijacking the style function in QPage. It is insanely helpful for creating these sort of layouts where you've got something that's sticky on the left and then, yeah, being able to do stuff like that. So it's not pretty, but you can imagine how you could make this really pretty based on what I've shown you here. So can I do a Q padding all medium there? Yeah, and now we'll get rid of all these headings and we'll get rid of that disgusting background. There we go. And I want to code this no, do I want to code it properly? No, maybe in a little bit. So now we get a place we can create topics. Let's make it so that you can select a topic. So we'll come in here and say const selected topic ID is equal to a ref. And that will be nothing by default. But I'll leave it as an empty string so that it's typed nicely. And I'm going to create a view here. So hygiene view new. And I'm going to call this view, it's going to be for a module. It's going to be for a discussion. And we'll call this maybe just discussions view, manage discussions view. It's not really managing them though. Yeah, we'll call this discussions view. Okay. Give Volar a cheeky restart. Come in here and say discussions view. Give that a little second. Might as well just close it while I'm waiting. There we go. And there's our discussions view. Now, my rule with views are, and I've talked about this with the modular quasar template a few times, but I'll quickly go over it again. A view is allowed to do backend requests. It's allowed to manipulate the store, etc. Every other type of component, views, layouts, and pages are the only ones that are allowed to work with the backend and manipulate the store. Any other components are not allowed to touch the store, and they're not allowed to make backend requests. Really strict rule with the LSD standard. You cannot do backend requests or changes to the store in lower level components because it totally removes their flexibility, and I consider it to be bad practice, at least for the apps that we build. Okay, so now we got that set up. Let's add a VueModel on that view. Or not even a VueModel, we'll actually just send it directly down there, which will be the topic. And let's say topic-ID. So the topic ID is equal to the selected topic ID. So that gets sent down. And the other thing we'll do is make it so that we can select one by making these clickable. And what happens when you click them? Well, the topic ID, or selected topic ID, is equal to the current topic's ID. Save it. Now the next thing I'll do is jump into the discussions view and accept that topic ID. Okay, so I'll get rid of all of that. Actually, no, I want to bring that in. And we'll come in here and say select topic ID. We're viewing discussions. Maybe we make this optional so you can just view all topics. And we can go ahead and say topic ID in here, just to see if it works. Topic ID. There we go. We got those topic IDs coming through. All right. So next, we want to be able to view all of the posts within that topic. Again, we're going to keep this stupid simple by creating a Q-list in there. And inside of that list, Q item section. And we can say, I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's okay. I'll do this anyway. V-4 discussion in discussions. And then the key is equal to the discussion ID. All right. Let's go ahead and get the discussions. Oh, this is the cool part. This is where we get to use VueModel in a little bit more of an advanced way now. So we'll say const discussions indexer is equal to use indexer. Yeah, I bet you this has got something to do with my package.json. That's why that's not importing properly. So if we say use indexer from at VueModel/core. Yeah, see how it's showing up as a folder? I reckon that's where I've done something wrong there, where the package.json isn't like pointing to the correct file or something. Anyway, that's fine. It still works for now. Discussion, and here, okay, here's the cool part. We can say filters here, and we've got an incredible amount of power with our filters. But one of the things we can do is give that a function, right? And that function is going to return our filters. And by doing this, it means that it actually is live. Our filters are going to be live because this is a maybe, ref, or getter, meaning filters can be just a plain object. It can be a ref of an object, or it can be a getter of an object. It can be a function that is kind of like computed. So now we can just cut this, paste that up there, access these props, and this is going to be live. So we can say, I want the topic ID to equal props.topicID. How fecking cool is that? It doesn't like that this could be undefined, so I'm just going to say otherwise a string, which is actually good. I don't know. Maybe I should actually make it so that can be undefined. Yeah, I don't know. Something to think about. But for now, we can coerce that to a string and make sure it's either, it's an actual value inside of there. So now we got a discussions indexer. Let's just make it now so that if this topic ID changes, it indexes again. But we'll also make it immediate here. I could have also done that in the watcher, but whatever. Now what's the problem? Oh, okay, I've done this wrong. Topic ID, don't even know how to use my own bloody thing, is equal to props dot topic ID. Yeah, I could probably make this do that in one line like this as well. Yeah, I think that reads pretty well. And this way of writing these queries is specifically designed to be very, very flexible. So it's kind of this really nice syntax that's flexible, and it's also designed to be very easy to model as well. So what you can do is you can make filters. You can come up here and set that as a ref, for example, and that ref is really, really easy to model. So if you've got like searching going on, or like a whole bunch of different things you need to do that filter, you can do really advanced filters and make it super easy to model those advanced filters. It's really cool. I'm super proud of this API. So now we can just do something like this. We can have a watcher that watches our props dot topic ID. And if our topic ID changes, we just index again. Just call index again. So now we can come in here, and instead of discussions there, we can actually pull that out of the indexer dot records dot value. Now we go, and then inside of here, we say discussion dot, look at this auto completion, woo, title. We can make that bordered. And we also need to make it so that that is showing what's selected. So I think you've got selected here. Oh, active is what it's called. Yeah, there we go. Active is if the selected topic ID is equal to that topic ID. So I'm just going to do that and add a couple of extra equal signs there. And I could probably change the active classes to make that look a bit better, but this will do for now. Nux provides server, so can't move to other. Loves to work with Quasar. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Okay, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm now jumping into, yeah, the discussions view. So now they should all be showing up here, but we don't have any discussions yet. So let's just do something really quick where you can create a new discussion. Maybe you even do that at the index page level. So we can have like a little button here for creating a new discussion. No, actually I'll do that in the view. In the view? Yeah, let's do it in the view. So at the bottom here, we'll say Q page sticky, and we'll give that an offset of maybe like 1212. And then we'll have a Q button, and that's going to be a fab button. And icon is equal to MDI plus. Give that a second. Import that. There it is down the bottom there. And we can say the color is equal to primary. There we go. And maybe instead of 1212, we'll go like 1616 or 1818. Doesn't matter, Luke. I get obsessed with things that don't matter. So I need to get into the habit of not sitting here and just tweaking little numbers before I've even built something that people use. So let's make it so that when you click on this, you get a dialog for creating a discussion. So let's see how quickly I can do it this time. All right. Hygiene component new. This is for a module. This is for a discussion module. Create discussion dialog. Oh, that already exists. So I think I already did this. Discussion for, yeah, okay, we've already done that. So now we'll come down or up. Let's put it here. Create discussion dialogue. There it is. That should be Pascal. There we go. We'll do a VueModel here saying show create dialogue. And I'm going to copy that and say const show create dialogue is equal to a ref that is false by default. And let's create a discussions creator. This is the VueModel stuff again. Const discussion creator is equal to use creator. Get that bad boy imported. Whatcha? And what are we creating? We're creating a post. Why doesn't it like, no, not a post, a discussion. There we go. Discussion creator is now ready for action. And we're going to VueModel a form here. VueModel form is equal to discussion creator dot form dot value because it gives you a nice form that you can work with for free. So now we come in here and inside of the create discussion dialogue, I'm going to just steal some of the code from create topic dialogue. So we'll just do a big paste in there, and anything called topic can now be called discussion. Save that. Any other topic related stuff? Nope, there isn't. This might actually work. Nope, that doesn't do anything yet. So @click is equal to show create discussion dialogue. We'll make that true. Boom. All right, we've already gotten pretty far. So let's make it while I'm here so that when create is emitted, we say discussion creator dot create. By the way, I forgot about this. I'm pretty sure we've got creating. So now I can say discussion creator dot creating dot value. And that'll get the spinner going. All right. And let's jump into the form, discussion form. Oh, I'll quickly come back here. Oh yeah, it's already modeling the form correctly. And now we can come up and say, might just close that out so I've got more room. Form for the topic. I'm going to steal you. Stealing stuff all over the place here to make me go faster. Discussion gets sent through there. Oh, look at this beautiful typing. Ha! So that's got a title. Now we want to have, we don't actually need to send the discussion ID down to that form. It's just going to be the title. And let me just quickly refresh this page, see if that's working. Yep, instead of name, we call that title. Cool, blah, blah, blah. And create isn't doing anything right now, which is fine. We got the dialogue. And discussions created.create. Okay, that's right. The other thing we need to do is make sure the dialogue gets closed when that's been created. If I refresh this, do we have discussions now? No. So on success, basically, I just want to set show create dialogue. Let's throw that up here. Equal to false. Dot value. Blah. Okay, so it looks like that's not creating. Oh, I said @click here. That should be @create. Whoops. Oh no, that is @create. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Okay, so on the dialogue, we should have an @create. And then we can say to create there. So I put this in the wrong spot, so I can get rid of that. Save. Huzzah. Create. Boom. Ooh, how cool is that? Oh man, I love this stuff. Now, why is that showing up, but the other one wasn't? Yeah, okay, so it's when it does get IDs, that happens. All right, I think that's something that I can work on in the future, but for now, let's just go ahead and make it so that instead of using records.value, we just have a repo for discussions. So we can say const discussions repo is equal to use repo discussion. We send that through, and then here we can just say discussions repo.or for now. Save it, refresh the page. Nice. Nice. And now if I put something in there, it shows up. Cool. Maybe I'll just do like a Q dash. This is not going to look great. Oh, it'll look okay, I reckon, but not great. Yeah, that's good enough. And we'll say boarded. And that's all of our discussions. Yeah, okay, this is not too bad. And then these should be clickable. And then that takes you to the discussion itself. All right. So we'll come into this item. We'll say @click. And maybe we should omit something. So I wonder if my discussions view. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Discussions. Discussions. There we go. I'm going to go eat something in a sec. I'm hungry. Yeah, so maybe we make it so that when you click on it, the discussions that are shown. Yeah, I think that should take you to its own view. I'm just trying to think about how to architect this code. So should I keep it within this file? No, the answer is usually almost no. Don't keep it in the same file. Is there a public repo for VueModel, or it isn't public yet? It is public. So, by the way, give me a nice star if you feel like giving me a star. Or if you don't. I just sent that into the chat. And the docs, I think, are not too bad. Let me know if you find any problems in the doc, which you probably certainly will, because I've spent the past week working on them, and I haven't sort of reviewed them properly yet. But yeah, take a look at the docs. By the way, one of the cool things about the docs is you get a REPL for everything. So since we're using local storage, you can go to, I haven't tested this in production yet, so hopefully this works. If you go to use creator, and then you click on this R button, it actually shows you that example inside of a REPL. So there we go. We got that inside the REPL, and you can play around with that example inside of this REPL. And then what you can do is when you click on this button, it just resets the database. Now, for some reason, pressing that button sometimes is really, really, really ridiculously slow. Let's see how quick it is this time around. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. There's something I need to do to fix that, but this is work in progress. But it's really, really cool that you can essentially just play around with these examples. It's kind of like Quasar, but you can also just open up a REPL by clicking on that REPL button. Yeah, so maybe don't press that button for now. Oh, thank you, Cyprian. Do I know you, Cyprian? Because sometimes I know people in the community, but I see their name and I don't recognize the name. But it's cool to have you around. So much better than opening. Yeah, I agree. So StackBlitz and Code Sandbox are really, really cool. Like StackBlitz is insane. The functionality you get out of that and the speed is awesome. But it's just not as good as, like, if you go to Vue's REPL. By the way, Vue actually open sourced its REPL. That's why I got this in modular Quate in VueModel. But look at this. This opens instantly. It's ridiculously, ridiculously fast. And see this string at the top here? That string actually represents all of the files in that you've got here. So if I go create a new thing that's comp.vue and then create another one which is comp1.vue and start building things that way. If I copy that, do I have to press save? I don't know. I think I can just copy this, close it, new tab, and then paste that. The URL itself, so all this strings here, contains all of the files. How cool is that? So I haven't actually built this yet, but it's really easy to build, so I'll do that in a little bit. Yeah, instant boot, Vola, and TS support. It's insane, and this has full Vola and TypeScript support, like Cyprian has said. Cyprian, how do I say that? Cyprian has said. And it's awesome. So I can come in here and change that to lang equals TS. Whoop, there we go. And now if I go MSG dot, you get the dot value showing up. And if I want to make this, for example, an object, We said like name is equal to blah. Oh, sorry, I should actually do something like this. Name is equal to a string. And then come in here and I think I can now control space in there. Yeah, see? And it shows up. We get autocomplete. Like, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculously cool. And you get that inside of VueModel as well. So let me just jump back to VueModel's REPL here. I hope you do at least, if everything is working correctly. So if I go to use indexer, open up the REPL, post indexer, dot, and it doesn't work. Oh no, it does. Here we go. Look at that. We get auto completion. We can see we got records here, dot value. And we can just kind of like play around with this. It's really incredible. And I was able to get TypeScript into this. And that's because ES modules, sorry, not TypeScript, Quasar inside of this. So when you're playing around with this, since my community is a Quasar community, all of my VueModel examples actually use Quasar under the hood. So if you're a Quasar person, and you're interested in using VueModel, this is going to blow your mind. And another thing I'm going to do is I'm creating a project called Augment Quasar, which is a bunch of components on top of Quasar, and it's going to have components specifically for VueModel. So imagine this for a second. Imagine this. You create a table using Augment Quasar, and you add a filters thing on top of that, and it automatically gives you a fully featured filterer, and it gives you a fully featured table that's got create, update, delete, etc. And you can, change and update things inside of the cell. You can drag and drop cells, all that kind of stuff is built into that component. But this component is specifically designed to work with VueModel. So, pagination as well, everything. So that component will work with a local storage backend. So you can prototype using that table really quickly because you don't even need a backend. It creates itself as you create your models with Pina ORM. So that's the first thing. The second thing is when you finish building it with Pina local storage, you can now swap out that backend with a Laravel backend or with a Strapi backend, or with, when I've built it, a Dataverse backend, and when I've built it, a Superbase backend. So all of those backends will work with the same, with the same table. So Augment Quasar, the reason I've stopped building Augment Quasar and I focused on VueModel instead is because the benefits we will get out of Augment Quasar goes through the roof if you decide to use VueModel. And once that's built, we can now build a cards component, for example, that shows a whole list of cards and allows you to create new cards and update and delete new cards. And it all just works because it will assume that you're using VueModel under the hood. So we can also build other components that aren't for VueModel, for Augment Quasar, for those that don't want to use it. But for those that do want to use it, the speed of development, I actually believe this is going to be the fastest speed of development ever, with fastest speed of development with flexibility. So the problem I think in the coding community that I'm trying to solve right now is that we build these lower level frameworks and then we build these higher level frameworks. So you got stuff like these tools that allow you to build, your drag and drop builders, right? To me, they're like the really high level frameworks, like your Squarespace and stuff like that. And people have kind of tried to bridge the gap between that and code, but they suck. They all suck, at least in my experience, because I want to build things my way. I want to use Vue. I want to use, such and such backends, and I want the API to look like such and such, and they just don't bridge the gap. So here's the thing though, if you add more opinions, if you add a whole lot of more opinions on top of that, you can get insane speeds. For that, you sacrifice a few people in the community, because some people are going to say, oh, look, I really don't want to build things your way. I have a better way of building them, so I'm going to go do it my way, which is totally fine. But if you resist that enough, then you can build tooling that is highly, highly opinionated without losing flexibility. So I am now able, if I go low enough to begin with, and that's what VueModel is, that's me trying to go low and then build up from a low level. If you go super low and you go, okay, this is how we're going to work with the backend, end of story. If you don't want to work with a backend in this way, then that's totally fine. Go somewhere else. You're not going to, it's not going to work as nicely in our ecosystem. So we go, okay, this is how you work with a backend if you're following our standards. By the way, this is called the LSD standard. You can then say, okay, so we always work with an API in this way. That means we can make a bazillion assumptions up the chain. We can now create a table component that does create, read, update, delete, and make that table component in such a way that we can hook into it at every single angle, at a cell level. We can have the columns automatically generate, or we can, change how the columns work out. Like, it's just insane flexibility with as many assumptions as we can make by default. So by default, that table will just work. It'll be beautiful, and it'll work with multiple backends. But if you want, you can then, add in on top of that, and sort of hook into it and make changes here and there. But that's just tables. You can have like left-hand menus. So for example, this menu on the left here, maybe you want to have a search at the top, and then you got this create button, and then you want to be able to right-click on this and say update. You can create an entire, component for that, and say this component only works with VueModel. But if you're using VueModel, all of that is going to be built for you. And you'll be able to prototype quickly because we have got a implementation that uses, the user's IndexedDB as the database. Well, it's interesting how I've been trying to solve the same problem, but with a quite different approach. But you definitely see the value of the opinionated route you've taken. Yeah, it does. It opens insane possibilities. Okay, so imagine that now. All of these components that I'm building here would just be built for you. The code would look insane. And forms as well. We can now always build forms the same way because we have an opinion about how forms are being built. And I reckon this will be the first time in my life that I've truly conquered forms. I've gotten pretty far with conquering them, but I haven't made it all the way. And the reason I haven't made it all the way is because it's not possible unless you have strong opinions. So we're going to be, for example, one of my strong opinions is JSON schema. Everything will be mapped out with JSON schema. And that JSON schema will automatically generate my Pinia ORM models. So those models we were working on before, such as discussion, this would automatically get generated for us. And I'm going to have a really cool UI tool. I've actually already built it, but I need to just kind of like keep building it and then make it open to the public. I have a UI tool that automatically creates the JSON schemas, which means that you can even do validation on the back end. The cool thing about JSON schema is it's true front end and back end validation. Other people have tried to do this, but nothing exists, as far as I know, that solves the problem as universally as JSON schema. Because JSON schema solves this for PHP, and JSON schema solves this for the front end, and it does it for JavaScript, for Node backends. It just sort of solves the problem across the board. So that's one of the other assumptions that we're going to have. Everybody is going to be using, if they decide to go all in on the LSD standard, they're going to be using JSON schema. All right, I got to go eat something. I might come back and do some more streaming later on. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Next time I do the stream, oh, my dogs are going off. Next time I do the stream, I'm going to expand on this discussion section and make it so that we can actually come in and create discussions. And one more thing that I want to build in the future is logins with local storage. I keep saying local storage. Logins with IndexedDB, and also saving images with IndexedDB. So if we create an interface around how you save images to a backend, you can start off by doing it using IndexedDB. In other words, it just saves on the user's computer inside their browser. And then later on down the line, you can just swap out IndexedDB for AWS, or for your Laravel backend, or for your Strapi backend, or for your whatever backend. So if we put an interface in front of that, we can then create a composable that uses that interface so that it works really well with Vue. And then, yeah, the possibilities are endless. And again, it takes you to that place where you can prototype things really, really, really quickly without sacrificing like code quality. You can still prototype and have good quality code. And when you're done prototyping, you can then build your real backend and then swap out IndexedDB with a real backend. All right. Hope you enjoyed this one. I really enjoy doing these videos, and these it's really cool to kind of connect with the community again and show you all what I've been working on. If you want to dig deeper into this stuff, I'm going to type it into the chat in a second. Let me just close that. Where is it? VueModel. I'll send you the link for this. I'll probably just send you directly to the docs. Yes, if you want to check out the docs, I've just posted that, and I'll also add it into the comments of this stream. I think I can actually edit this on the fly. Yeah, there we go. So that's in the description if you want to check out the description as well. Is there a Discord server where I can occasionally chat with you? We're tackling the same ecosystem problem with similar yet quite different approach, but I'd be super interested in discussing how you approach some of the chat. Yeah, yeah, hit me up on Discord. Gotta remember my Discord did a weird like username change thing recently. So let me just quickly get my Discord thing and post it in the chat. And I think the comments might disappear once this live finishes. So is that my username, Lugu? That makes it easier. Anyway, glad I came out of the dream. It was mad interesting. Yeah, there we go. So QuasarCast is my Discord name. So I'll quickly type it here in case anybody else wants to see it. It's just QuasarCast. All right. Thanks, everyone. And